Hello everyone, and welcome back to JAS Reviews. My name is James, and today I am going to be talking about the newest album from the band Red, entitled Declaration. Something you need to know about me and Red. I have been a fan of Red pretty much from their inception. I've been a fan of them since the beginning, from their very first debut album, End of Silence. I love pretty much all their albums. I don't think they have a single bad album to their name, which is very rare for me. And even their weakest album, Release the Panic, I really enjoy. And if you want to know just how much I love Red, they're one of my top 3 favorite bands of all time. And also, the albums Until We Have Faces and Of Beauty and Rage are both within my top 20 favorite albums of all time. Yes, you heard right, of all time. Of Beauty and Rage in particular has always hit me on an emotional level with its beautiful journey of a man going from the darkest parts of themselves to a path of light and redemption. And Until We Have Faces is such a compelling exploration of identity and has some of the most complex lyrics I've heard in any rock album to date. So it goes without saying that Declaration was my most anticipated album of this year, especially with the 2 excellent lead singles. The Evening Hate was one of my top 10 favorite songs of last year. I just loved what it did. It really combined what was best about the band into one singular song. And the second single, From the Ashes, was quite simply epic. Also, in promotion for this album, Red discussed how it was going to be their heaviest to date, which is quite a bold statement to make considering how intense Of Beauty and Rage already was in moments. And thankfully, greatness is exactly what I got. I mean, wow, this album is, from front to back, absolutely superb. So many great moments here, so many legendary moments for Red, and so many things that fans are just going to love. This album is as intense as the band promised, if not more so. It really shocked me just how much the band went for it here. They really just went for those heavy, visceral moments over and over and over again. And the opening track really gets the ball rolling right away. This song is pure metal onslaught from beginning to end. There are so many impressive moments in this song, especially how lead vocalist Michael Barnes sounds like he's practically breaking his lung from how he's belting out that chorus. I've never heard him sound quite so raw as in this song. I mean, it sounds like his vocal cords are really shredded in that chorus, which gives this song this really cool gritty feel that I've never heard from Red before. Usually Michael's vocals are very smooth and not much cracks in them, which I love about the band. That's why I've always loved Michael's vocals. They're just naturally beautiful. But in this track, there's almost an unsettling rawness to them. There's this unsettling anger to it, which is perfect for the song's subject about the ego and how our egos can just so easily overtake us and be more important to us than anything else. And man, the screams in this song are just to die for. I mean, what more can I say? I love when Michael Barnes screams, and his screams on this album in particular are some of his most hard-hitting that he's ever done. The second track, Infidel, is classic Red. Any Red fan is going to adore this song. Many are already calling it their favorite of the album, and hey, I can't blame them. It's one of the best here for sure. I especially love the line that's repeated over and over in the song, "I want to hear you scream." The way that Michael Barnes screams out those lines, this song is going to be great in a live setting. You can already tell. And the line has already become sort of iconic for me. It's one of the most memorable moments of the album, and it's just so much fun. Also, the way strings are used in this song is just great. Almost give this song a bit of a horror movie feel in some places, which I always appreciate as a horror fan. And, of course, Red always uses strings to great effect. The way that this song combines strings and guitars is just effortless and is one of those moments that is just indicative of Red's signature sound. Cauterize, in my opinion, is easily the best song of the album. I love how the unsettling verses shift so effortlessly into that beautiful chorus, easily one of the most gorgeous choruses that Red has ever penned, in my opinion. And musically, this song just perfectly works for the emotional themes this song is talking about. And the bridge is really where this song hits its highest point. Michael's vocals and the bridge just really hit me in an incredible way, really send emotions up in me that are really powerful. And then the way the bridge just shifts into the chorus for the final time with the strings swelling and how the guitars and the drums come in. It's just a beautiful moment from Red. And of course, I love songs that tackle the redemptive side of brokenness. After 3 intense tracks in a row, we get one of the more radio-friendly songs on the album, which isn't a bad thing for Red, The War We Made. It takes a page right from the end of Silence. It feels like almost a sequel to Already Over in many ways. It's really not surprising to me that this is the song that the band is promoting for the radio. The chorus is unashamedly catchy, and even the verses will get so easily embedded in your head. It's irresistible, impossible to avoid the catchiness of this song. Like with all Red songs, the lyrics here are just beautifully penned, talking about this idea of the wars that we wage in our heads, and often how we make an active choice to wage these wars. And because we can make these active choices to wage wars, we can also make the choice to overcome those wars, which is just right in line with the great messages that Red has across their albums. This song is thematically rich, it's incredibly powerful, it's so compelling, and once again, the strings and the guitars and the drums, the way all those elements combine together, along with Michael's gorgeous vocals, really just brings the emotion home on this song from front to back. Evening Hate was the lead single of this album, and it's still one of the biggest highlights. It has everything you could possibly want from Red. I love the way the lyrics are more minimalist and create this almost atmospheric feeling, something which I feel is very rare for Red. And this is one of the band's most interesting songs, where that bridge almost feels like metalcore in some ways. It doesn't lean entirely into that metalcore field, but it's the closest the band has come musically in many ways, at least up until this point. Because next, we have the song Float, which is easily the closest Red is going to get to metalcore. Now, the song may not be exactly metalcore. I think most people will probably characterize it as post-hardcore, but it still has some of the most intense moments of any Red song to date. We don't usually hear, in fact, we've never heard a Red song where Michael Barnes screams the verses entirely. And I just loved how much that shocks me. Michael's screams are honestly on a whole new level in this track. They bleed a visceral, a raw intensity. I love how the chorus sort of lifts to this very ethereal heights. It directly contradicts the grittiness of the verses with this just beautiful, swelling chorus. And it's really clever because the verses indicate this sheer clawing desperation of trying to get away from the darkest parts of oneself, and then the verses are where Michael is actually breaking away from everything. Sever, in my opinion, is the most emotional track on the album. The chorus is one of Red's best written to date, showing the hardships of faith, while also acknowledging that faith has the ability for us to sever or break away from those darkest parts of ourselves. And I love how this song says that those dark parts of us, no matter how much we think it, those dark parts of us don't have to be part of our identity. And man, a consistent theme on this album is that Red is doing so well on the bridges, and this song once again just has a great bridge that emotionally leads into the chorus one last time and really takes the chorus to new heights. The next song that I'm going to be talking about is Only Fight. Now, this is a really bizarre track for Red. It's definitely the most experimental on the album. In fact, it doesn't really fit the album musically, but for me, that's not exactly a problem. I think those industrial moments almost bring a Nine Inch Nails vibe to this song. Of course, Michael's screams on this track are the icing on the cake. I love how he's really unleashing here. This is probably the most raw his screams sound on any part of this album, which is really saying something. considering how crazy they are all across the board here. But on Only Fight, something about them is almost haunting and sort of unsettling. It actually sends chills up my spine when I hear it. From the Ashes is the truly epic finisher that gives you the feeling of release in what is Red's darkest album to date by far. Now, there are themes of redemption throughout this album, as with Red's other albums, but I feel like in general, this song goes to those darker depths way more than any of Red's other albums have. All For You is by far Red's darkest and most angry song to date, so it only is fitting that the album ends off with one of Red's most redemptive and most ethereal moments to date. Like I said, with this album, they really got into the dark recesses of the dark night of the soul, and this album shows the band's grit and determination to rise above all that, to finally get out from the ashes surrounding them and go forward in redemption. The chorus really lifts you high, and the song just has this absolutely gorgeous string arrangement at the end that really can bring tears to your eyes. It's one of the most beautiful Red moments I've ever heard, and it just ends this album on pretty much a perfect note, at least for me. I have barely any critiques for this album. The only song that didn't really stand out to me, I guess, was The Victim. I didn't actually hate this song. In fact, I really like the ending moments with those wonderful guitar riffs playing. It's really fun, but something about the song feels a little disorganized to me in parts, and I feel like the song sort of randomly has that screaming moment at the end, not exactly built up to. Maybe another slight issue with the album is the production is a little rougher on the edges on this one. I think that Gone, it had a little bit of better production on that album to me, more clean-cut electronics and stuff, but the rough mixing on this album honestly works more to its benefit because this album lyrically and thematically is really rough around the edges, so maybe the slightly rough mixing isn't necessarily a bad thing. But I guess it was something I noticed. Overall, as you can tell, I love this album. I like almost every song on it, and even the one I don't like, I don't necessarily consider it a negative moment. Some of the songs on here are among Red's best songs to date, and thematically, this album is once again incredible, just really nailing the arc of this person who has all these deep, dark insecurities within them and really holds on tight to them, but finally they're able, through sheer grit and determination, to let them go. And I appreciate that the band hones in on that aspect, that sometimes it takes really hard work and really hard soul searching in order to let go of those dark parts of ourselves. We have to be honest with ourselves. And because of that, this album feels like one of their most honest and most raw to date. Some of the most uncomfortable lyrics I've heard in any of their albums. And the redemptive moments feel all the more earned because of that. So, for all those reasons, I am giving this album an extremely strong 4.5 out of 5 stars. One of the best releases of the year, will probably end up being one of my favorite albums of the year, if not my absolute favorite. But it is too early to tell for that. So, what were your thoughts on Red's newest? Let me know in the comments down below. Once again, my name is James. I do reviews of both music and movies on this channel, as well as the occasional commentary piece. If any of that sounds interesting to you, then please feel free to like this video and to subscribe to my channel to see future content. And until then, I will see you all in the next video.